Welcome to Queerly Speaking. I'm your host, Nat Jones, and together my wife and I will navigate the complex intersections of faith, identity, love, and resilience. In each episode, we'll share stories of heartbreak, healing, and hope from individuals who were told they didn't belong in the very spaces that shaped us. Welcome back to Queerly Speaking. I'm your host, Nat Jones.
And I'm your co-host, pregnant Tammy Jones.
Shocker. Spoiler alert. Just kidding. You already know that.
It's only a spoiler if you didn't listen to last week, which is fucking rude. God. Just kidding. We appreciate any support. Thank you so much for being here.
Last time we spent a lot of time talking about our first and second failed IUI attempts. So this week we get to talk about something a little bit more fun, which is the third time that we were really successful.
Third time's the charm.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is in our case. And the more that we talk about this, we've talked about it with our, straight cis friends and then queer community, gay friends, like all of the above, just different people, different backgrounds, but either are in the phase of having babies, have recently had babies in the last couple of years, or somewhere along their fertility journey. And it is so interesting how different the experiences are for each family or individual going through the process. There are obviously overlaps, but I'm realizing it's really unique to the families and the individuals going through the process.
For sure.
Each person or family kind of has this is what we experience. But I think it's just important to say because you don't know what you don't know until you're in it.
Yep.
And as much advice and as many conversations as you can have with people who are in a similar situation or have been through it before, it's still, when you go through it yourselves, very unique to you.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. We're wiser on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think even now that I don't want to say on the other side because there's obviously a lot to still be done. We're still cooking right now, but You're just learning, you're kind of reflecting back. And I think one thing, and we'll kind of get into the details a little bit, but that we've said to each other is, and again, we did touch on this the last episode, the first two fails were so emotionally taxing for both of us. And then you look back and you're like, wow, we're really lucky and really blessed to have gotten pregnant in 3 months. Well, it's longer than 3 months, but 3 attempts. What would be 3 months if we could try every month, And of course, I think that's with everything in life, right? Once you get through a challenge, you look back and I think you're able to kind of look back on it a little bit more fondly than it was or realize, that it's cliche to say, but the struggle was worth it and all of those things. But when you're in it, it's I feel like I had blinders on. I was I'm not, a lot of people would say to us, oh, and it is true. A lot of people that we know got pregnant on their third time, whether it was through fertility treatments or not. Tons of people that we knew. And people would say that to us. And obviously, again, out of the goodness of their heart, right? In a place of encouragement. But I think I was at a place, you were a little bit more open, or at least that's my perception. Maybe you were doing that for me. But I was I'm not really open to positivity. I just felt whatever, this is not good. This isn't working.
Yeah.
I was kind of down in the dumps.
Well, and I think last time we talked a little bit about how I felt we should try IUI one more time. Yeah. And then you were I don't know, maybe because it's also back to, and I hate to keep bringing this up, but back to the financial part of it.
Yeah.
By the time you've done 3 IUIs, you've paid, at least at our clinic, you've pretty much paid for IVF, or at least one cycle. So I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I just felt to be honest, I think a lot of it was because if we were going to do IVF, you wanted to wait until the end of the year. And not that my clock is ticking. I actually think I've gotten over that.
Yeah. I think you have as well.
Yeah. Cause I had a lot of sensitivity to being older and feeling we need to get this done. I'm going to be so old and I'm that's actually ridiculous. I'm 37 years old. I'm in my prime. Everything's going to be fine. So I feel I've definitely let that go, but I did feel a bit more of I don't want to wait pretty much the whole rest of this year. Right.
Yeah. Your timeline is different when you're doing that. But I do think that talking about the financial stuff is important because that is a big, component to what's going on. I mean, yes, it's kind of shaking out now that we probably had paid close to the same amount of money, but the way you paid it was different and all of that. And I think, maybe we had paid in our first 2 cycles, maybe $7,000, I want to say 6 or 7, maybe $6,000. I don't know exactly, but
For all 3 cycles?
no, for the first two. I'm
Oh,
saying like when
oh.
we're at this time when we're saying
Oh,
that,
yeah.
maybe 6 or 7 grand. Honestly, could be more. I'm not sure. But then, you're looking at, I think you were coming at it from a probability standpoint of like, okay, logically speaking, we could do another 2 and have a good shot at it working, or we're going to have to cough up 15,000. When it's like, you can't really do anything about the money that you've already spent. And it's another where, of course, like in hindsight, now that we're pregnant, you're like, every dollar was like the best dollar I've ever spent in my life. There really is like no price that you would put on that. But also you're like, we just bought a house in our early 30s. Like money is money. Like the economy, hello, has anyone seen eggs right now? Like you're not like, yeah, 18 grand, who cares? You're not really wanting to do that. And, we talked on the last episode how important like a positive financial boundary and financial foundation was for us going into this based on things that we've been through. I think it was just, but again, because of your job and our jobs and things that we had set up, it was like, okay, well, if we did wait a certain amount of time, I would be able to do that a little bit more reasonably and comfortably, for me at least. And I do think that was exacerbated by the stress and pressure I already felt of what we had been through. It was like I needed like a long spring break to mentally prepare for that.
Yeah. Well, and I think you were afraid, just like anybody would, that the third time wouldn't work. And then
sure.
You know what I mean? So it's just like,
yeah. And then you're like, is that more money? Like, well, that's another 3 grand we could have used for that. It's just like, I mean.
And in a perfect world, like fertility treatments would be free. And, open to anyone who wants to have a child.
Yeah.
It is an interesting concept to think about how this administration seems so worried about our population count and how many babies we're having, yet the amount of money that people pay for fertility treatments is so high.
Yeah.
Just like with college and anything else. But don't get me started on that.
No, for sure.
But yeah, so I mean, that was kind of that's a little bit about like leading up to it. Do you want to share a little bit about like how you were feeling leading up to, like, a little bit of the excitement was gone and it was more just like kind of worry and dread,
procedural,
if we're really honest?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think it became, and again, like, it's kind of, hindsight or whatever, like when we were, editing a TikTok to post, or when you were editing our announcement video and you put like little clips of, each time that we had done that. And obviously it's like, if like maybe we were watching, you're not knowing that's each cycle. I don't know. But I feel like I look back at myself and I'm like, oh my God, like I could see the excitement leaving my eyes. Like I could see that every time. It's like, by the time there's a little clip at the end of doing the 3rd round of insemination. And I think I'm just like closing my eyes and I'm like, please God, like, please just like let this work. Like I just felt like, oh my God. Because to be honest, I have health anxiety. I'm scared of medication. Like, I'm all these things, like, and if with our second baby, we need to do IVF, I am willing to do that for us. And we know some of our really good friends are going through that, and we know people have done it before. And I'm like, literally all my hats off to them, like for the caring parent and the non-caring parent. Like that is just so impressive what they're doing. But I was very fucking scared of that. I'm going to be honest. Again, we talked about how much the little medication and the little process like that we had done was like making me like erratic, and my normal cycle kind of makes me like a little kooky. I was like, oh my God, like I just felt a lot of pressure from that. And I just felt like, I don't know, it wasn't, but it felt like our last shot. And I knew it wasn't. Like we'd been lucky to, well, we'll talk about this. We actually switched donors, we had a good supply and all that stuff. So it wasn't our last shot, but emotionally it felt like that for me. Like I'm putting everything I have into getting this to work.
Yeah.
Which is realistically, like, you can't really, there's nothing else you can do. Like everything you have is like what the doctor does, and like, a silent prayer. Yeah, I really felt that way. And I think you felt that way. I can't speak for you, so correct me if I'm wrong, but on your end as well, of like, kind of easing the financial burden for us and supporting me. Like, I think there was a sense where you also felt like, okay, this has to be it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like by the time we got there, I had really tried to work myself into either this is going to work, or we're going to save for it to be the end of the year. Like it's going to be one of those two things. It's not like doom or gloom. This isn't the last time we're ever going to try, but this is the last time that there will be the possibility of hitting certain financial goals that we wanted to hit. When you got to a place where you're like, okay, let's do a 3rd one, you're fully on board. I just had this feeling, I'm like, we had 2 donors that we really, really liked. And I had done like I can't even tell you, hours of research, hours and hours of research on each of the donors, very specific wants and needs, similar personality and temperament to myself, like as close of attributes to me that we could get.
For sure.
Even like physical attributes and all of that stuff.
That was important for both of us.
Yeah. So we had used this one specific donor for the first 2 times. And then I thought, you know what? Like if we're going into this third one, and all of the sperm count and all of that was actually tested, and it was like really good. So there was no reason we needed to switch. But
We'd asked the doctor even.
Yeah. And he's like, no, like there's nothing there that would alert me that you guys should switch. But I just felt like, I think we should switch, and we should go back to this other donor who we almost picked first. And so we did, and we ordered the sperm for us. We bought the family slot, which I think we talked about a little bit before, but it just limits the amount of families that this individual can donate to. And so, yeah.
I kind of feel like it was like sort of a green light because we were, when was this? Well, we did it in April. So this must have been like March. I was kind of coming around during our spring break, and it wasn't hot as fuck outside. So we were going on our morning walks, and we pretty much like every morning walk, we're talking about this. And, you know, you were kind of just like letting me get to where I'm at, like saying your opinion and giving, you know, what you wanted to do. But I think I appreciate that you didn't do a good job of pushing me. You know, it was like.
I didn't do a good job?
Or I'm sorry, you did a good job of not pushing me.
Oh, I was like, wait, what?
I'm like, I brought you here to tell you that you fucked up. No, I'm sorry, baby. You did a great job of not pushing me. And
you actually suck.
Even with the timing, like you always were like, I want to do a third time, but you weren't like, it needs to be next week. You know, it was like, if you need 2 months, like, you know, my birthday's in May. You're like, if you feel like you can't do it until your birthday, like, you know, whatever. Like, and obviously we knew like you wanted, you know, both of us wanted to be as soon as possible, but you did a good job of giving me grace there. And I think I just kind of slowly was like, okay, I'm getting open to it. You were looking at donors, and because I think we shared this previously in the last episode that our other donor had run out and like we didn't know when he was coming back. So that was like another big bummer to us. This donor, one of the reasons we hadn't picked him was because he hadn't had a live birth yet, and, which they say is just like obviously a good sign of strong swimmers. Then during the spring break, this donor had a live birth. And I don't know if you got an alert or you were just checking it or something.
I was just looking at
it. Oh my God, babe. And then I think both of us were like, okay, let's just do it. Yeah, fuck it. Let's get it. You know, like that kind of felt like a sign.
Yeah.
We ordered, you know, a good amount of that or whatever. Then we're like, let's just go. Then we book with the clinic. You know, we're like, we're back. And they recommend us or not recommend. They're like, okay, you're booked with, and all of a sudden now we're with a nurse practitioner. Like we've been with the same doctor for the past 2 cycles, which is like a lot of appointments. And then they book us with a nurse practitioner. And I will admit that I was like, what the fuck? Like, no. And that's not because I really, most of my providers are nurse practitioners. My sister-in-law is a nurse practitioner. Like, I really think they're the same as, I tell everyone she's a doctor and she gets mad. It's not that. It was just like, what the hell? Like, this guy knows us, I feel like. When you're just like, this is our last shot and you're giving us someone new. I was like, I'm not happy about that, but there's really nothing you can do. Like, you're booked when you're booked. Best fucking thing ever. Like, she's amazing. Literally like an angel sent from God himself to us personally.
I literally asked when we were graduating from the clinic, like, could you also deliver the baby? Can you just stay with us for the whole process? And she's like, I don't catch them.
I mean, we loved her from the first appointment. Like, we absolutely loved her. So we go into the first appointment and immediately, like, her energy is just great. Like, I remember she had like the 2, are they like her assistants? Are they nurses? I'm not sure. Anyway, 2 other colleagues are, you know, there as well. So it's kind of like a small room. Like, got a lot of people going and my legs are in the stirrups. I'm like, whatever, I guess. And she's like, can we get the music on? And like, that's how she talks. Her voice is like, good morning. Like, how are you? Like, it's just
not
so
as airy. I would.
My voice is like so aggressive and easily. I feel like I don't know how to like.
I feel like she has a very calming presence. She was like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, why don't we put the music on?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. I was like exaggerating the situation.
Why don't we put the music on?
My point was that she's just like setting the stage. Like the lights are low. It's like everything is great, and she sits down, and immediately, like, you know, she just rolls over and she kind of like, you know, claps her hands or whatever, and she's like, how are you guys feeling? Like, I see that this is your 3rd time. Like, I know that that's really hard. And both of us like look at each other and look at her. And I think we like kind of teared up a little. Like, we were just like,
yeah. Well, no one had asked us.
Yeah, like our friends and family, but we didn't feel like,
Yeah.
you know, which again, like maybe in the medical profession, like that's not really that many tries, obviously, because a lot of their patients have infertility issues, but we didn't have that. So it was like a long time for us. It just like, we just felt so seen. I think from that minute, we were like, oh my God, like both of us, I think just were like, thank you so much for asking us. Yeah, fucking so. It's like, yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah. We really liked her a lot.
So we meet with her, and you know, I also, one thing I really liked about her, and most of our doctors have done this, but they ask you as well, you know, like, oh, well, how are you? Like, you know, it's not only me, right? I feel like I think she did the best job of that, but
Yeah, the clinic was the only. Our OB does not ask me how I am, just to get two shits how I am.
but everyone said that's normal. Like all of our
Yeah.
straight friends, like the dads are like, yeah, that's standard. Like if they don't even look at you, that's normal. And you were kind of like, what? But I mean, I guess I get it. But anyway, she did a good job of that. But she's like, okay, you know, and we had done the first 2 cycles, but are considered unmedicated, meaning that we didn't take anything except for Overgel, which is the trigger shot, before, like, to get the ovulation going. And because they said there's really no, like, they prefer to start that way. There's really no need if we don't have any fertility issues. Like, it's just mechanics that we're missing, right? So we go and we had said to her, like, we kind of talked to the doctor over the phone. Like, we'd like to do a medicated cycle. Like, you know, we feel like this is our last time for a while. Like, we want to just throw, you know, every dart that we can at the board. And she was like, yeah, for sure. And she acknowledged, she's like, this is expensive and donor sperm is really expensive. She's like, so, you know, I think we need to be, what did she say? She's like, as aggressive as possible, as safely as possible.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay,
Yes.
great. Love it.
I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, my kind of girl.
yeah, load me up. So anyway, I don't need to go into details, but we took 2 different medications during that time to kind of get, you know, more eggs and bigger eggs and all that, which was working because I was feeling like a big mama.
Yeah, because I think up until that point, what was the largest egg we had was like 15.
I think so. Yeah. And there always would be like 1 to 2 big ones at, you know, at insemination time.
But then with the medication, I think the largest one was like 20,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I want to say like maybe 21 is when they're like, oh, that's too big. Like,
Maybe it was like 19.
fall
it was like
off.
pretty close.
Yeah. It was kind of right on that cusp. So I feel like some of the details, like there's like kind of a lot of information that you're like, okay, weeding through. But the medication was going well. And we actually had a lot of extra appointments with that cycle. She had us come in a lot more to see, because she prescribed us 2 medications, but she's like, let's start with the one. Let's monitor. You might not need the second one, but I want you to have it on hand in case you do. We might only use like a little teensy bit of it. We might, you know, whatever. I just want to kind of see how you're going. And that was the first cycle. We also did extra blood work before to check like my estradiol, Jesus Christ, estradiol?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Estradiol.
For estrogen? Oh, I don't know why I just didn't say that. Levels, which was nice. And again, just like, I mean, we were going like every other day for ultrasounds at this point.
There's a lot of appointments.
When previously there would be sometimes like 4 or 5 days between. Like they'd be like, oh yeah, in 5 days, come in and we'll inseminate.
Which is still a lot of appointments.
Right. Yeah.
But
But this
we
one
did
we were
go in a
going
lot
in like
more.
a ton.
She was checking like very, very closely.
Yeah, very closely. And she was kind of monitoring, like, okay, today take a little bit of this shot. Okay, now don't take it tomorrow. Oh, okay, now take a, you know, she was really kind of hands on with that.
It did feel like more specialized treatment.
It did.
Yeah.
And I felt like that kind of helped us put our walls down a little bit to know. And one thing that she, and I've shared this comment with everyone, that really like, really made an impact on me. And I don't know why it almost like made me tear up right now. It's not even that
What do you mean
serious.
almost made you? You are tearing up.
That's the hormones talking. That's the baby wants to cry right now. But, you know, at the beginning, we were just asking her, you know, I'm like, well, I've stopped drinking. I stopped drinking caffeine. Like, I'm, you know, blah, 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 whatever, like saying what I'm doing. And I'm like, is there anything like, you know, we're going to take your medicines, but is there anything that I can do that would be like, you know, it's going to push it over the edge or something? Like, what else can I do? And she was sharing that she'd come from a practice previously where she delivered from mothers suffering with addiction. And she's like, I share that to you to say like that there are people on drugs that have perfectly healthy babies. Like there's nothing that you're doing that's preventing this. And there's nothing you can do that's going to make it work. Like it's going to happen kind of like when it happens. And, you know, you need to just give yourself some grace, like follow what we're telling you and keep doing what you're doing. And, you know, otherwise it's really out of your hands. And I just think about that a lot because I've been thinking about that even during the pregnancy, that you're like, okay, like there are people like, you know, there are sometimes I've been, we'll get to this later, but too sick, like once or twice really only I've let myself not take the prenatals. And I just think like, okay, there are people out there like on drugs, and not that that's not good. Obviously I'm not encouraging that as like a standard, you know, practice of care. But I think just when you think about those things, sometimes it relieves like some of the pressure that you put on yourself to feel like you're not doing enough. Mm-hmm. So that just knowing that was kind of like the baseline, you know, expectation or whatever. That's not a good word, but
especially with how much health anxiety
Yeah.
you have. Like it is, it has significantly risen.
Yeah.
Since we started this process.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably a lot of people who struggle with health anxiety, and obviously I've been with you many years. So it came up often about just different things, but those things in my mind tended to be like a little bit funnier.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my right shoulder hurts. Do you think that
everything's like a tumor for me?
Yeah. And I'm like, no, I think you're fine. But this became much more serious. Like you were not doing well.
Yeah. It's become much more debilitating. But all of that to say, because I would like to, you know, we could probably do an episode on that, honestly, because I think a lot of people experiences that during fertility and pregnancy. But all of that to say, her setting that baseline for me, and I think that foundation of trust as well during the process, like did kind of allow me to be like, okay, like we have extra medications. We're doing literally everything we can. Like it's, you know, in the hands of God and the doctor right now. Like there's nothing that we can do about this. So that was really nice. Then we go into insemination day and we were like, it actually kind of timingly worked out nice because we had a little weekend trip with our friends planned that day. So we go there and she's like, okay, you know, based on yesterday's ultrasound, I'm going to need some consents. And we're like, okay, yeah, let's go inseminate me. And she's like, there's a really high chance for multiples, you know, and then she's saying about my follicles and all that. And we're like, okay, yeah. And she's like, you know, like could be like 2 or 3. And we're like, okay. And she's like,
which
no,
is
you
also
literally
rare
right.
in a natural,
right.
if not through IVF, like in a natural way.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. And spoiler alert, we only have 1. But she's like, okay. And we're both like, okay. And she's like, no, I need you guys both to like individually say like, you're comfortable with that. And I'm like, I think I was like, well, 2 would like be good, but like 3's a little much. And she's like, yeah, I can't, there's really nothing I can do about that. And I'm like, oh, excuse me. You know, there's really nothing I can do about that. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, no, 3's fine. Just whatever. Just baste the turkey and we're going to just see how many we get. Like, it's fine. But we were kind of like, holy shit.
Yeah. But then also like, oh my God, after that, my mind ran wild. I was like, okay, 2 would be amazing. It'd be like a one and done situation because we want 2 kids. And I'm like, wow, that would be awesome. And then I was like all for it. And then I started thinking, oh my God. So we'd be paying for daycare for 2 babies at the same time. And like, I just like went down this whole rabbit hole and I'm like, you know what? All I can say is we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
What's going to be will be.
So yeah, it ended up being great. Like we had the weekend. And then on top of that, do you remember, I'm sure you do, remember getting sick?
Yeah.
And you were so worried.
I was spiraling. So we
had
taken the day off this cycle. I was like, I don't want to go to work. Like previously, I mean, it's not like you're having an operation or anything. So previously I just like do it, you know, wait 20 minutes, like absorb and then go like to work and be like, it's fine. Like not do anything. But this time, like again, we were like, okay, let's just take like, I mean, I'm an interior designer. I have a desk job for the most part. And, you know, it's not like I can't like do anything. But I'm like, I just want to take the day off and like just be able to relax, go at our own pace, like not have to worry about getting back to the office, like just have time together. And you did as well, which was really nice.
Because I think at that point, we're like more just working on our openness. It's like we can't control anything. And I think we'd both come to that, like a good spot with that at least. And it was like, we're just going to be open to this, to whatever the like universe has for us. And so let's give this day to ourselves. Yeah. Like, let's just take time for ourselves.
Yep, for sure. So we kind of got lunch and we did see a couple of our friends and that was nice. And then we head up north. We're going on this trip and I'm like, okay, so fun. It's like we go to dinner and I'm kind of feeling like I'm already like starting to not feel that great. But I'm like, maybe I'm just sore from like medication or whatever. Like, I don't know. Then we're at dinner and I like with our friends and I'm looking at you. I'm like, we got to get the fuck out of here. Like, I need to go to bed. And we're all trying to hang out. And usually we're like, and it's really not even about drinking. We're just like a chatty group. Like we're kind of up late whenever we hang out with them. And it's maybe like 10 o'clock. I'm like, you guys, I'm really sorry. I don't feel good. Like I need to go to bed. So I go to bed and rapidly downhill. Like I get a fever. I have like a migraine. I just feel fucking terrible. The whole reason we'd gone up there was to go on this hike. Like to go up the night before and go on a hike the next day. We wake up. I'm like, babe, I can't go. Like my body hurts. I have it like fully. I'm in a fever. Like I can't do anything. And they're like, you know, they say to take to treat like that you're already pregnant, like right as soon as you have the procedure, like don't really take any medications or anything. So I'm like, well, I can't take, you know, you're like trying to give me medicine. I'm like, I can't take anything. But we asked the clinic and they're like, oh, you can take Tylenol because then of course I'm Googling. This is where it all starts to go downhill. And it's like, yeah, you know, people get pregnant, but you really don't want to get a fever. Like that's bad. So now I'm like pounding Tylenol to try to like never like, you know, break my fever, like not get my fever too high. I slept like 8 hours the whole time you guys were on the hike. I didn't get out of bed. I'm like so sick. I'm, you know, texting like one of my girlfriends that knows we're doing this. And I'm like, you know, this is the whole cycle's fucked now because like I'm sick. It's not going to work. Like this sucks so bad. Like da 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 da.
And I didn't tell you this obviously because there's with your level of health anxiety, there is no room for me to be worried.
No.
At all. It's just like whatever I feel, I'm keeping to myself. No, I don't mean that to feel bad for me. I just mean like your anxiety takes up the whole room and your health anxiety.
Yeah.
And I remember being on the hike and being like, it's going to be kind of crazy if the one time this works is the one time she gets really sick afterward. And then I was mostly worried because I thought, if this one doesn't work, you're going to think it's because you got sick. And then you're going to blame yourself again. And then it's just like, we're definitely going to need a break after that if that's what happens. Luckily, it didn't.
You did a great job of keeping that to yourself.
I know. Thank you.
And we, one of my girlfriends actually was like, oh, maybe like, you know, and I read this on a Reddit thread as well. It's like, what the fuck is with me and Reddit? But anyway, that they were like, oh, sometimes it actually helps because your body's like so focused on like fighting off the sickness that it kind of ignores the sperm. Like sometimes it doesn't work for the first couple of times because it's like fighting off like a foreign body. And you're like, I mean, I don't want to be like gross and be graphic, but it's like obviously, especially for us, like that's the case. It's not like we're having sex all the time and now I want, you know, now I take the birth control out, but it's like, oh, you've been, you know, the whole time. Like,
this we're having sex all the time, but it's not like we're having sex where semen is involved.
Yeah. To be clear.
Oh my God, just
clarify. So it is like, especially for me, I'm like, I am having like a foreign, you know, body or whatever. So I kind of and one of my friends said that too. She's like, you know, maybe like this will force you to rest and like, it'll be like actually what you need. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like hopefully. Fucking spiraling. Like, don't even go to work on Monday. I'm so sick. I'm like, this is like a fucking joke. Like, whatever. So then we're monitoring, you know, kind of monitoring our symptoms. And I'm not really having any symptoms this time. Like, I'm not nauseous. I'm not really feeling any of the symptoms I'd felt in the past cycle. The cycle number 1, I felt a lot of the typical like nausea, exhaustion, blah, 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 blah. Didn't really feel anything. Or felt a lot of that, wasn't pregnant, obviously. Second time, don't really feel anything, wasn't pregnant. So this time I'm not feeling anything. And I'm like, well, it's a bit confusing because when I felt something, I wasn't pregnant. When I didn't feel something, I wasn't pregnant. You're like, honey, we don't know. Like, just get through the day every day. And I'm like, okay, like monitoring and
constant communication about everything that you feel on. My toe feels a little larger today. Do you think that means I'm pregnant?
Everything. Yeah, I'm being obsessive.
I don't know.
And this time we had chosen to only tell, I think maybe like 2 of our friends knew. Like we didn't tell our families this time. We didn't tell like literally like only 2 people, I think. Sorry, honey, it's really you. Like I'm like the only person to talk about my toe throb is you. So we're all in this together. Yeah. You know, during the mix of this, like again, it's like 2 weeks, feels like 90 fucking days when you're like waiting to find out if this works or not. We had gone to lunch with our friends and they told us that they were pregnant. At the lunch, which is so like amazing, and we're so excited for them. But I remember one of the things that, you know, I was asking because I'm thinking like in my head, I think at that lunch we did end up telling them like, oh, we're kind of in the wait period.
We did.
You know, so I'm like, well, how are you feeling? Like, did you have any signs or symptoms? And she tells me, she's like, oh, my Oura ring said that I was under signs of distress. And I had been seeing that on TikTok, like everywhere. Because, you know, now it's like the internet knows I want to get pregnant. Like all my TikToks are about fertility. And so I really compartmentalized that. So every morning I wake up, I'm like looking for it to say like, you know, it'll say symptom radar at the top. I guess if you have a ring, you know, and it'll say like there are minor signs of stress or like major signs of stress, depending on like how you are. And sometimes that'll be like when you're sick or whatever. So I'm like waiting, like that's not really happening. I'm not getting any symptoms. You're like, honey, that doesn't mean anything. Like, let's like relax.
And when our friends, we had lunch with them and they told us, I mean, we were within like, I think 4 days of finding out. So your anxiety, like it's so heightened. And now we're like, checking the ring,
right? Which I'm already doing. Like I'm obsessed with
nonstop.
the body temperature on the ring this whole time, like which I've never tracked, but obviously we didn't need to. Now, like I'm obsessed with it. Like I'm watching it go up and down.
Yeah. And I think as we got further down, you were like, "We're not pregnant. We're not. I don't feel anything. I don't think we are." It's almost like you started to brace yourself for the disappointment.
I think I did,
which I did a little bit as well, but I think you did very much.
I did
because when we started the testing strips, I don't know how many in the previous cycles we would study them and be like, there's a line, there's not a line, there's a line, there's not a line.
Is that an indentation line? Is it?
Oh my God, it's so stressful. And so when we started testing, and I'm like, yeah, there's a line. There's definitely a line. You're like, I don't think I'm pregnant. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
The next day we test again. There's a line. Yeah, this happened last time and I wasn't pregnant. Like, okay.
I know. So then I'm waiting for this ring thing. Like, I think that's going to be like the beacon of hope for me. And I wake up one day and it says it. And I'm like, babe, like literally, I'm like, babe, get in here. Like, I'm like, the ring said. And she's like, okay. Then we take a test. It's negative. I'm like, this is really fucking with me. So we couldn't follow the rules. At this time cycle, we're like, we're taking a test whenever we want. So we kind of taken, oh my God, some tests before to test out the trigger shot. Which I'm actually glad that we did that, which is not really recommended, but that's what we did. You could tell, like, okay, it's fading. There's nothing. Like, now we know if we get something in the future, it's not from the medicine. So I'm looking. It only said the symptom thing. The symptom radar only came up one time. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, we're starting to take some tests, and there's a little bit of faintness. And I'm like, okay, but I'm like, I'm not getting attached to that. I've seen that before, and it was not true. And we still don't know, was that a chemical or was it a dehydrator or what is it called? Indentation line? Like, we don't know. Doesn't really matter, obviously, but it wasn't a baby. So I'm like, okay, and you're doing great. And I'm trying to like sometimes like secretly test because I don't want, like, there is a part of me, although I wish it was bigger, that's a little bit aware of this ride I'm taking you on emotionally. So I'm like, okay, sometimes I'm like testing secretly in the bathroom and I'm like, well, okay, there's like nothing there. And this time we'd made the policy, like, we're following the rules. We're not leaving the test on the counter to look at in 3 hours because we've made that mistake before. We're looking, throwing it away. Look, move on. So
because at one point with the previous cycle, I'm pretty sure we had like 20 tests on the sink.
Yeah, that we would just look at. And then you get, if you can get indentation lines and all that stuff. And then it's like you get a shadow and you're like, it's just like you're like digging them out of the trash. Like you're feeling like a fucking raccoon. Like it's just like too much. So we start to kind of get them and then maybe we get like 1 or 2 light positives and we're both like, okay, like is this something we don't want to get excited?
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, that could be, but we don't know. And that, which like looking back, it's like a fucking positive is positive. Like, yeah, but we just can't let ourselves get there. I really can't. And I think you kind of couldn't either. So then we wake up and, we have all these tests and like, I think at one time we run out. So she goes to Walgreens, gets like one of every brand they have. And we're like, we're running the gamut on this. Like when we're testing, like we're going to make sure every brand says something before we get excited. And we had we're saving one digital for, that's like going to be the big day or whatever. And I wake up that morning and I have hellacious cramps, like hellacious. And I'm like, oh my God, babe, I have cramps. And I'm already like, fuck me. Like, this is what happens. Like, I get cramps, I get my period. Like, I've never had a period without cramps. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like really upset. I look at my Oura ring, of course, and my temperature has dropped, which is what happens on the day of your first period, the first day of your period. I immediately start crying. I'm in the bed, I'm crying. I'm like, it didn't work. And I think you're kind of still half asleep. But this time you're like, did you take a test? I'm like, no, these 2 pieces of data are telling me. And you're like, honey, you don't know that. Like, let's take a test. And I'm like, I think I'm crying the whole morning. Like, I'm so just distraught. So I'm like, fine, I'll do it. And we go, pee in the cup or whatever. We take it 2 tests, positive.
Yeah, and you just go lay back down.
And I lay back down because they're not like at this point, but at this point we're maybe like, you go to the doctor at 14 DPO. So I think we're 12. If I remember correctly, I think we're 12. So it's like, it's positive, but it's not like bing, 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 bing or anything. And so I'm like, I don't think it's enough. And you're like, okay, like you're like today, like let's do the digital. Like I think that we're ready for the digital.
we had taken there were like 4 pregnancy tests that we had taken. They're all positive. And she's like, no.
Like I can't, for some reason, I'm like, I have cramps. So like, I'm obviously not, I know better than the fucking test that's on the counter.
Yeah.
So you're
then
like,
you go back, you're in the bed and you're just like crying. And I'm like,
so embarrassing.
At this point, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to do the digital test. And cause that one requires, like a lot
certain
more
level. Yeah. It's
a certain level. And cause we had like the highly sensitive ones. And so I remember her being in the bed and, before this we had done all these like, okay, well, let's video and we find out, or let's, have the camera ready and blah, blah, blah. And this point, there's no camera. There's no nothing. We just have one crying woman in the bed.
Nothing to show.
3 to 4 positive tests. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And so I don't even say anything yet. And I still have the cup of pee, right? So I'm like, I dipped the digital one. It's the longest 3 minutes of my life. And I remember looking down and it's like, pregnant. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember bringing it back to you and I'm like, look at the test. Look at it. Like, look. And you're like, are you sure? I'm like, no, I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you, like, it says there's like 3 or 4 positive ones in the bathroom and it says pregnant. And you've been telling me for months now that we don't take the digital one until it's like we really want to know for sure. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I can do another one. So we did another one, digital one.
We did like 5 more.
Pregnant. And I'm like, it took you a while to like kind of like believe it and bounce back.
It's like, I do a lot of crying on this podcast.
It's embarrassing.
I feel like in this whole process, like it's just like such a regret that I have. And there have been times, I mean, we're, 15 weeks this week and a little over 15 weeks. And there have been so many already times that that's like the biggest one where it's like, I really feel like I let my mind take something from us that we're never going to get back. Like we'll have a second child, but we're never going to get a positive test on our first baby ever again. It is like you've said, like I've dealt with this my whole life and it's like, okay, I always think I have fucking brain cancer or something. But like, I think there's a logical part of my body that or knows I don't have that. I'm just like spiraling, and I've gone to the doctor and the hospital and all this stuff many more times than I needed to, but I've never felt like that took something from me. It's just like kind of like, oh, it's just like a quirky part of my personality. Like, oh, I'm just like a worrier, like whatever. Like, but that's a moment where I'm like, that really robbed me of something. Like we'd been waiting this whole time to see like pregnant and call our family. And I'm like, I couldn't even get excited. Like my brain had taken something else and like completely left me. Like, in this moment. And then I'm like, I've taken it from you as well. And I had gone the day before because we'd gotten some of the little positives and I had tried to make a little video of myself and I went to Target and I went to the Nike store and I got like a little book for you and like these little Nikes. I did a little video of myself and I was like, I know like we're kind of still like not really sure if they're positives, but I just want to have this just in case. Like, I want to have something to give her when we get that big test. Like, not joy, but the surprise element is obviously not there for us, because we're doing this process together. And I think especially for me, like just the way I am with the tests, like you really always are involved with them for me. Like we didn't really have an opportunity for me to like surprise you, so I just really wanted to have this. And then I'm like, well, now the moment's gone. Like I'm not going to run to my car and get the gift now because the morning's already kind of gone like sideways, and I think by the time we left, we got to a place where we were like, holy shit, like we're pregnant. Like I think we were able to get there, but
yeah, we were for sure.
It just is something like I look back on and people ask all the time, like, oh, like, how did you tell Nat? Like, do you have a video? Like, what was it like? And I'm like,
which is also kind of funny because it's like, what do you mean? How did you tell me? I was at every appointment.
I know. But you're like, and they're like, oh my God, like, was it amazing? And I'm like, no, it actually kind of was shitty. Like, it actually sucked. Like, I had so much, like, I think anxiety and worry that we were going to get excited and see that and it was going to go away or like I was going to let us down in some way. And it's like, it's just ironic because I think the pressure that I put feeling like my body was going to let us down by taking it away, my mind did that instead. So I really regret that. And a lot of things have come up in the first trimester. I mean, literally we could do, like I said, like a whole fucking episode on that. And, I know other pregnant women and I know that we're not alone in that situation. Like your body's going crazy, but there just was a level where you're just like, I don't know, like we're not going to get that back. There's no like, I have so many recorded videos of me like seeing a negative test and being upset, but like I just couldn't let myself get to a place where I was excited.
The first trimester has brought a lot of new things that we've had to work through or that we have been able to work through. I think a lot of the things that we run into are also because it's like so heteronormative. All of your friends are telling you that they're pregnant. And then the second story is how they surprised their husband.
Yeah.
And I do think that has come into play because most of our friends are straight. And so I do think that has played a part in it as well. And which is the same reason that people ask you, how did you tell Nat? What do you like? I was there. I was there for every single portion of it. And I said, like, yeah, I guess you could have like tested in private, but like we were not at a place for that. So all that to say, like, I don't feel like you stole anything from us. I think that this journey that we've been on it has been raw and real, and I'm thankful for that because one of the things I think that I think a lot of us do is you grow up and you kind of expect that every big moment in your life is going to be like fireworks. That it's going to be like this moment where you're just like, holy shit. Because that's how the movies make it, really. And I think that we kind of get a little bit addicted to that And I've struggled with a lot of disappointment because of that. So like part of my 20s and then even in your 30s, you really are just still continuing to grow up and realize that even when the best moments happen, there can also still be in that best moment, there can be sadness and there can be pain and there can be, one doesn't cancel out the other. It just never does. It's like you're going to have bravery at the same moment that you're afraid, and you're going to have full joy. Like every moment for me of joy of having this child, I also carry the sadness that my family will never know our child. Like there are so many things. And I feel like that because of some of the things that I've been through, I just have this awareness of like, it's okay that there's both of those things. It's okay that in the moment that we found out where we have a lot of joy, there was also disappointment and there was also like fear. And there's also just kind of figuring out like, there's just the unknown and everything else. So I don't feel like you stole that from us.
Thank you.
In any way. And I think part of the joy of that we got back in our gender reveal moment.
Yeah, I think we did.
Because that was something that neither one of us knew. We didn't know the gender or whatever. And so I think everything kind of comes full circle. And I think for us, it's like, yeah, the beginning of it, because there was so much riding on it, was like a little bit like, wait, is this real? And then we started getting to a place where we're like, yeah, it's real. It's real. And starting to believe it more and more. But I'll be honest, it's like we're 15 weeks and I believe it. Like I know we're pregnant, but it wasn't until this last ultrasound where it like literally looks like a baby.
Yeah.
Where I'm like,
whoa,
oh my God, that's our son. Like that is our son. So I just think we have to give ourselves grace for the process because the process is not the movies.
No, and it's new, right? Like we've never done this before, either one of us, obviously. And I appreciate you saying that because that does kind of weigh on me, pretty heavily. And it's something that you've done. I mean, you're so supportive with my neuroses and all of that. But
I think that we are both in this place in our lives where it's like this process is new for both of us and we're experiencing it differently. You're experiencing it as the caring parent. I'm experiencing it as the non-caring parent. We're thinking about different things. And that's the biggest piece of advice I feel like that anyone has given me recently about this process and parenting, and just is that like your relationship evolves, it changes.
Yeah.
There's just a lot happening at one time. So at the same time where you're feeling something, I might be feeling something completely different. And we just have to create enough space for each other to work through each of those things. Because I know even in the beginning, like I was disappointed. I will be honest. I was disappointed because everybody, like all my friends as well, were like, oh, how'd you find out?
Yeah.
Or like all these things. And I'm like, am I missing out because I'm gay? Or am I missing out because of this? Or am I missing out because of whatever? But it's like, the perception is just so powerful because it's like, no, I'm not missing out on actually anything. Instead of being, although there's nothing wrong with this, it's great. If you're a hetero man, this is great. That's your process. My process was different because I got to go to every appointment and I got to see and be with you every step of the way. And I think now I'm just thankful for the process that we get to have versus constantly being in comparison of everyone else around us. And so I think that's really helped a lot, where it's just like we get to do our process and it gets to be us. And yes, a lot of the questions that we get asked are because our friends are heteronormative. That's okay. Maybe I fit into that box and maybe I don't.
Yeah.
But it has been kind of interesting us working through that because you as the caring parent fit into most scenarios.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And
there's not really I'm not having a different experience than my pregnant friends.
Right.
I mean, obviously like everyone, literally our experience is different, but it's also like very the same,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I am. But I think I'm doing a lot better now, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I think
you've always been doing great. I mean, I know you have
nice. Thank you.
thoughts in your head and stuff, but I think you've always been navigating it with grace and all of that. And it's like, it's such a new, like, I mean, maybe we're turning a corner right now and we're getting some normalcy, but the past
I think we are
15 weeks and really the past 7 months, because we've been working on this since January, have been like a first for everything. I mean, it's been a whirlwind.
Mm-hmm. And I do think like even having brunch with our friends today, sometimes it's also just like the personality of the person.
Yes. Yeah.
That I can relate to. It's not really about if they're male or female or if they're gay or straight or anything else. Like sometimes it's just some people are more involved, like some spouses are more involved in the process and they want to be like in certain aspects of it, and then others are different and they don't want to. And so I think that kind of struck me today. It's like really not about most of that as much as it is like that I just have a way that I want to be. I do want to be a part of the process. Mm-hmm. I do want to be involved in all of the things.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really cool too, like getting to talk with different kinds of people and just understanding that it's like everybody's process is different.
Yeah. And I'm proud of you because I think it's, you know, I kind of did this because, again, at the beginning where it's like, we both were doing it, but there was some level at the beginning, at least I felt, where it's like, okay, well, it's really only like, it's only my time to perform right now, you know, like, and you can kind of share that. And that's not true, but that's how you feel. And you can share that with, you know, my other friends who were trying to get pregnant. And then at the beginning, like when we're talking about our symptoms, it's like, okay, well, you know, it's just easier to talk to your friends, I think, who are pregnant and be like, oh my God, I puked 10 times today or whatever. And they're like, yeah, same girl, you know, but it's a little bit more vulnerable on your end, I feel like, to talk to, you know, in most cases it is the husbands or not. We have some instances where it's not as well. And I think it takes a little bit more vulnerability on your end to talk about the difference from your side, what you're going through. But it's been really nice to see because I think that's really helped you a lot. And I think, you know, we're lucky to have good people in our lives where I think that they actually want to talk about that as well. And I noticed we had some conversations this weekend and it made me feel like, oh, I feel like people don't get asked that like that much. Like, and I do see that with you a little bit, but I feel like, I think it's our circle of people ask you. So my perception is obviously a little bit different, but like, you really see that. I'm like, oh, people like kind of like they do, like you said, I'm like, wow, people do kind of like ignore you. Like no one's really asking like how your experience has changed. But the reality is like in the past 15 weeks, both of us have changed significantly. Like our day to day is different. So I thought that was interesting. Like it was kind of nice to see you ask the non-caring parents in our lives and to see them feel, open to like, oh, you know, this is an opportunity for me to share my experience.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of it is just like you're almost, and I get it. I really do understand because it's like you're not the person carrying the baby. You're not the person who's dealing with the nausea. You're not the person who's dealing with like your body is changing. My body's not changing. You know, it's like you almost feel like you don't deserve to have your feelings or thoughts like recognized in any way because it's like yours are more important.
No, quite.
No, I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying it's like I do see that as a very common thread. Yeah. And so like with some of my friends, I've had to really ask, and I recognized it this weekend too. It's like, okay, well, how is that for you? Did you, like really specifically, did you miss the way that your relationship was with your wife prior to? Like, because it does change.
It does.
And it's like, sometimes I think it's just really important that we talk about those things because otherwise it can be really isolating for people. And you don't know what you don't know. You don't know that probably every person who's the non-caring parent has felt that way at some point. Right. I'm also equally excited about how our relationship is evolving and what it's becoming and what our family will look like. And then also missing where we didn't have all these other things. It was just like me and you. And we had our favorite food at, oh my God, we had like our favorite food at restaurants and we had these things, especially coming from someone who's quality time. Wow, this really caught me off guard.
Oh, baby.
And so it's like, of course, when you're not pregnant, like we'll do the same things. It's not that. It's just like that there are things that change and everything that someone feels in that process is okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Obviously, what you do with it is important. So I really appreciate that about our friends, that they're able to kind of talk through those things and just be really open.
Yeah. I'm glad that you shared that too, because I think that you really haven't shared too much in this first season because I've been really kind of having a rough go of it. I don't know if it's that I didn't have the capacity or that I wasn't pushing myself to do so or I was just trying to get through it. I don't know, but I do feel like I wasn't maybe as attentive to you and what you were going through as I wish that I would have been. And I don't mean that in a way to say like, oh, I'm feeling bad about what you said. I just mean like that I appreciate and I'm glad the vulnerability of you bringing that up because I think you're also kind of in a habit, right? Like it's now I'm in the second trimester and I'm allegedly supposed to be feeling better and getting more energy soon. And while it hasn't been overnight like I'd hoped, I do see hopefully some hope on the horizon. And I'm glad that you've said that, because now it's like, I don't want to get comfortable in my routine where like now the routine is like I literally come home, take a shower, lay down, don't move until the next day when I have to go to work. Like I don't want to get comfortable in that. I want to be aware that when I'm feeling a little bit better, like, you know, we're still partners. Like, yeah, we're working on the registry and we're working on the nursery and we're doing all that stuff. But sometimes like we don't need to do that. We need to just go on a date, you know? So, and I think even not in pregnancy, like we've seen different seasons of our life where you're busy and you kind of like let that go to the wayside, and it's nice to be reminded. But I just appreciate that you did that. And I know that there probably was some hesitancy because like you said, you know, you don't want me to feel any type of way, but I think it's really important to know. And I do need you to be feeling your best, like your cup is full as well, because you need that when you're taking care of me. You know, and you do such a good job of doing that. You've really been so attentive to me. So I don't want you to feel, you know, you need to get that as well. Like we are partners here. And, you know, I haven't had that much to give in the past few weeks, but as it gets more, like it's good to be aware from my end of like, okay, let's get back to life now.
Yeah. Well, I think we both need to be aware. And I think it's just new. It's just new, and we're figuring it out as we go and figuring out each step and each process and all the things and how we feel about it. You literally, I could say it a million times, but you just don't know what you don't know.
Oh, and it's really day to day, I feel like too. Like some days I feel great, some days I don't feel great. And I mean that emotionally, physically, about the process, like metaphorically, in every capacity. Like it really is day to day different, I think. And I think for you as well. But it's nice to see. I think it is kind of a fun little season that we're entering. I always feel like you when I say season, like I'm like getting like church points.
Oh my God.
But it is fun because you're just navigating something so different. And I think it's nice to just see like every time it's a reassurance that we can do that. You know, obviously this is nothing compared to when there's a literal human child who lives here, like requiring us to keep it alive. But it is like, oh, it's another big, you know, challenge or big stage or whatever of newness that we've been able to navigate together. And I feel closer to you on the other side of it. So I think that always kind of brings you a little bit of a relief, like, okay, you know, the next time when the baby's here, we're going to tackle the same way. And we're probably both going to feel stress, and I'm surely going to feel anxiety. And, you know, maybe we'll feel like a little bit distant at first while we're navigating through it, but like we'll come back and we'll be good.
We'll figure it out each step of the way. Thanks for listening this week and hearing a little bit about our process and experiences and all of that. And thank you for sharing, babe.
Yeah, of course. You too. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.